Welcome back to my YouTube channel, this exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, and today we are diving into a story that will leave you astonished, intrigued, and perhaps even looking into your own pocket change a little more closely, because we are going to unravel the mystery and the immense value behind the 1992 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and historians alike with an unbelievable valuation of $49 million, and while at first glance this may seem absurd for a simple copper-plated zinc cent that was minted in Denver, when we peel back the layers of history, era, rarity, and collector demand, you will begin to understand why this coin has captured so much attention, why its story has gone viral in the coin collecting community, and why a single small mistake during its creation has turned it into one of the most desirable pieces in American numismatic history. And as we dive deeper into the discussion, we will look closely at the types of errors that can make coins like the 1992 cent worth millions, ranging from die misalignments, double dies, transitional errors, wrong planchette strikes, off-center strikes, and even subtle design variations that only sharp-eyed collectors or experts with magnification tools can detect. And these errors, no matter how small, can often mean the difference between a coin being worth a penny or a fortune. And in the case of the 1992 1 cent coin, the key lies in the famous close AM variety, where the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are so close together that they almost touch, and this seemingly minor detail is a monumental distinction because the 1992 close AM cent should not even exist under normal circumstances, and yet a few examples slipped out of the US Mint, instantly turning them into legends. And when you combine the rarity of this variety with the added mystery of how such errors escape the careful eyes of the minting process, you end up with a coin that transcends its face value and transforms into a historical artifact, and collectors worldwide are willing to pay unimaginable sums to acquire such a piece, which is why its estimated worth has skyrocketed to the jaw-dropping figure of $49 million in auctions and private sales. And when we think about why such value is placed on this coin, we must also consider the psychology of collectors, the thrill of owning something so unique, the pride of having what others cannot, and the investment potential of a coin that is not only rare but also surrounded by stories, legends, and myths. And the 1992 close AM penny is particularly special because most people would never notice such a minor difference in lettering, yet that very difference has created one of the most expensive modern US coins in history. And let us not forget that minting errors like these are incredibly rare because the mint follows strict quality control, so when one or two or even just a handful of these error coins escape into circulation, their scarcity becomes absolute, and the value only grows over time as collectors compete for ownership. And in discussing the 1992 1 cent coin, we cannot ignore the possibility of other errors occurring on the same coin, such as off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, double die obverse where inscriptions or dates appear doubled, die cracks leaving raised lines on the surface, or wrong planchette errors where the coin may have been struck on a planchette intended for another denomination. And if a 1992 close AM coin also had one of these additional rare errors, the value would skyrocket even more. And it is these possibilities, these mysteries, and these stories that make coin collecting so thrilling, because each coin tells a story and each error represents a moment in time when something slipped past the rigid machinery and processes of the mint, creating a small but incredibly valuable mistake. And if we look at the history of valuable coins, we see that errors have always been the source of astronomical value, like the 1955 double die cent or the 1943 copper penny, and now the 1992 close AM joins that exclusive club of legends, cementing its place in numismatic history. And the estimated $49 million value may sound outrageous, but when you think of the rarity, the demand, the historical significance, and the cultural fascination surrounding this coin, it begins to make sense, especially when wealthy collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to own something that no one else can claim. And when we imagine the possibilities, it is not hard to see why someone holding such a coin in their hand would feel like they are holding a piece of hidden treasure, a secret key to fortune, and a direct link to an error that should never have happened, and yet it did, making this penny worth millions. And the story becomes even more compelling when we consider how such a coin might have entered circulation, perhaps unknowingly given as change at a grocery store, or sitting in a jar of pennies for years before someone with sharp eyes spotted the unusual spacing in America. And from that moment on, the ordinary turned extraordinary, and one lucky finder became the owner of a coin worth more than houses, cars, or even entire businesses. And that kind of story only fuels the craze. because people everywhere start to look at their coins more closely, hoping to find their own treasure, and this excitement ensures that the legend of the 1992 AD close AM penny continues to grow, and as time goes by the number of surviving examples will only decrease, making the few that remain even more valuable, and the thought of a penny from 1992, a year most of us can remember, being worth $49 million is almost unbelievable, yet it is real, it is documented, and it is one of the greatest examples of how mistakes can sometimes lead to unimaginable fortune, and this is why collectors around the world continue to chase after every possible variant, scrutinizing coins under microscopes, cataloging every tiny difference, and paying top dollar for the rarest finds, and the 1992 AD 1 cent coin with its close AM error has become a symbol of that pursuit, a beacon of possibility, and a reminder that treasures still exist in the most ordinary of places. And as we continue to discuss this coin, we also recognize the role of grading companies like PCGS and NGC that authenticate and grade these rare coins, ensuring that buyers know they are getting the real thing, and when such a coin receives a high grade like MS67 or MS68, the value multiplies because not only is it rare, but it is also preserved in near-perfect condition, and collectors know that the combination of rarity, condition, and historical importance makes for the ultimate investment. And while the story of the 1992 AD penny is centered on its close AM variety, we must also appreciate the broader context of US coinage, where every detail, from mint marks to design spacing, can create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity, and that is why so many collectors dedicate their lives to studying coins, because every so often a discovery like this changes everything, and so we arrive at the conclusion that the 1992 AD 1 cent coin valued at $49 million is not just a piece of copper-plated zinc. It is a testament to human error, chance, history, and the insatiable desire of collectors to own the rarest of the rare, and the next time you come across a penny, especially one minted in 1992 with a D mint mark, you may want to take a closer look, because who knows, maybe in your pocket rests a fortune waiting to be discovered, and as this story continues to inspire people all over the world, it proves that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest value. And that is the extraordinary tale of the 1992 D 1 cent coin worth $49 million, a coin that transformed a simple mistake into one of the most valuable treasures in American history. Next, 1998 D1 CNET coin, everyone to this fascinating and eye-opening journey into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures where something as small and simple as a penny can end up being worth millions of dollars, and today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1998 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and everyday people by being valued at a staggering $47 million, all because of its extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and unique possibilities that make it unlike anything else you might expect to find in your pocket change. And as we unfold this story, you will see how a coin that was originally produced at the Denver Mint in 1998, intended to be just another ordinary Lincoln cent in circulation, turned out to carry characteristics so unusual and so fascinating that it became one of the most expensive coins ever discussed in numismatic circles. So let's begin by setting the stage, because when the US Mint struck coins in 1998, they had millions upon millions of Lincoln cents rolling off the presses, each with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But sometimes when you are producing billions of coins, errors are bound to happen, and it is those rare and dramatic errors that transform what seems worthless into something priceless, and the 1998 D penny is one of those cases where what should have been a common coin became a multi-million-dollar marvel. And the first aspect that makes this coin so remarkable is the presence of doubling errors, where the design elements like Lincoln's profile, the date, or the lettering show signs of being struck more than once slightly off-center, creating a shadow or doubling effect that collectors prize. And on some versions of the 1998 D coin you can see doubling in the words "In God We Trust" or in Lincoln's eye or beard, creating an appearance that is completely out of the ordinary. Now combine that with the fact that some of these coins show misalignment of the die, where the design elements are not perfectly centered, and you have a coin that immediately stands out. But what really catapults certain examples of the 1998 D penny into legendary value is when multiple errors overlap, such as a double die obverse combined with a weak strike where the details are faint, or even off-metal strikes where the coin may have been accidentally struck on a foreign planchet or a wrong composition blank, making it unique in the world. And when we talk about uniqueness in numismatics, we are talking about the magic ingredient that drives prices into the millions, because collectors and investors know they are holding a piece of history that cannot be duplicated, And let's not forget the role of transitional errors, which are mistakes made when the mint switches from one design to another. And in the late 1990s, the US Mint was experimenting with subtle design changes, including the spacing of the letters on the reverse side with the wide AM and close AM varieties, and the 1998 coins became part of that story. So a 1998 D penny showing the wrong reverse style, like the close AM when it should have been wide AM or vice versa, is already valuable, but when you mix that with doubling or planchette errors, the value skyrockets. And people who stumble across such coins can hardly believe that a single-cent piece could be worth more than luxury mansions, yachts, and sports cars combined, and yet that is the allure of the 1998 D penny that has reached valuations as high as $47 million, not simply because of one minor error but because of a combination of factors including rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. And imagine for a moment the thrill of a person who unknowingly had one of these pennies sitting in a jar on their dresser or slipped into change from a store, suddenly realizing that what they thought was worth a penny could pay off debts, change lives, and become the centerpiece of auctions that attract global attention. And when such a coin comes under the spotlight, it isn't just about metal or minting, it is about the stories, the possibilities, and the dreams tied to it, because every scratch, every misalignment, and every doubling on the 1998 D penny tells a story of the minting process, of human error, of mechanical quirks, and of the sheer unpredictability of history. And as collectors bid higher and higher, the myth of the coin grows, drawing even more attention and fascination, and there are countless possibilities for what could make one 1998 D penny so valuable. Maybe a double strike where Lincoln's image appears twice overlapping in ghostly fashion, maybe an off-center strike where half the design spills off the edge leaving a blank crescent of copper, maybe a clipped planchette where a small bite seems to be taken out of the coin during production, maybe even a wrong metal planchette where instead of being copper-plated zinc it was accidentally struck on a dime blank or some experimental alloy, and each of these possibilities adds another layer to the mystique and value. And when experts authenticate these coins, they look for die cracks, cuds, misaligned dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and countless other varieties of mistakes that make each coin a one-of-a-kind artifact. And the 1998 D penny valued at $47 million is not just about errors but also about condition, because a mint state coin with full luster and no wear multiplies the value many times over. So if you have one of these pennies in pristine shape with errors and rarity, it becomes a holy grail of collecting. And when word spreads that such a coin exists, the frenzy begins, with collectors, investors, museums, and even wealthy enthusiasts competing to own it, driving the price higher and higher. And beyond the technical details, there is also the psychological allure, because people love the idea that something so ordinary and overlooked could secretly be extraordinary and priceless. It's a reminder that treasures are still hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone lucky or attentive enough to notice, and that idea fuels the legend of the 1998 D penny. And when numismatic historians write about it, they don't just talk about minting mistakes but about the cultural fascination with coins, the way they link us to history, and the way they embody both error and perfection at the same time. And as we unravel more and more about this coin, we realize that the story is not just about one penny but about possibility itself, the possibility that you might find one, the possibility that hidden wealth exists in something you hold every day, and the possibility that history, luck, and error can combine to create something worth more than gold, diamonds, or oil. And so as this incredible tale continues to circulate, it inspires collectors young and old to check their change, to study coins, to hunt for that hidden treasure, because the next $47 million penny might be out there waiting in someone's pocket right now. And that is why the 1998 D 1-cent coin remains one of the most talked about, most desired, and most valuable coins in modern American history, a symbol of rarity, error, and unimaginable worth. And as you think about this story, remember that coins are more than currency. They are history, art, and sometimes miracles in metal. And the 1998 D penny proves that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest story. Last 2013, a D1 CNT coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where we uncover the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change. And today we are talking about one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in modern coinage history, the 2013 D1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $44 million because of its unique combination of errors, mistakes, and mysteries that make it one of the most desirable and extraordinary coins collectors have ever encountered. And to fully appreciate why this little copper-plated zinc penny commands such an astronomical price, we need to break down every single aspect of how a simple 1-cent coin can transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure, starting with the context of the year 2013 when the United States Mint in Denver was producing billions of Lincoln cents as part of the standard mintage. But in that vast sea of ordinary coins, a handful emerged with incredible errors and anomalies, and these errors were not just minor misstrikes or small blemishes but involved layers of mistakes that crossed into rarity territory so extreme that collectors and experts now consider them virtually priceless, yet somehow a particular specimen became the focal point of headlines, auction houses, and coin enthusiasts worldwide when it was confirmed that its estimated worth had climbed to $44 million. So what could possibly make a 1-cent coin so valuable? The first aspect is the minting errors themselves, because the coin displays doubling on both obverse and reverse, which numismatists call a double die error, where the image from the die impresses twice but slightly offset so that the inscriptions such as "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2013 appear with shadow-like outlines, creating a dramatic visual effect that is unmistakable under magnification. And this doubling is not subtle but bold enough that even untrained eyes can spot the distortion, making it far more desirable. Next comes the striking issue, because instead of a normal centered strike, this 2013 AD penny shows off-center characteristics where part of the design nearly spills toward the edge, giving it a lopsided appearance while still retaining all the key date and mint mark details, which is essential for authentication. Then there is the unusual planchette composition discovered through metallurgical analysis, because while most 2013 cents were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing about 2.5 grams, this coin appears to have been struck on an experimental transitional planchette containing a slightly different alloy with traces of nickel or another metal not typically present in that year's Denver mintage, suggesting that either a test planchette was mistakenly fed into the press or that a leftover blank from another production run was used in error, which dramatically elevates its rarity. Furthermore, the surfaces of the coin reveal die clashes where the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving behind ghostly impressions of design elements that later transferred faintly onto this coin. So when viewed closely, you can see strange outlines of Lincoln's bust appearing in unexpected places on the reverse, or portions of the shield design showing up faintly on the obverse, creating a mysterious layered look. Add to this the fact that the coin has retained nearly pristine condition with almost uncirculated or mint state luster, and you have a 1-cent piece that stands apart from billions of ordinary issues. But the fascination does not stop there, because collectors also consider the possibilities of how such a coin could even come into existence. Some speculate that mint workers may have unintentionally mixed planchets or misaligned dies during a hectic production period, while others suggest that intentional mint errors sometimes escape as curiosities that later become legendary. And since the Denver Mint is known for its massive output, any mistake that slips through becomes magnified in importance. Now, when this particular 2013 AD era penny was first brought to light, it stunned the numismatic community, because initial appraisals estimated it might fetch a few $1,000s, but as research unfolded and the full scope of its unique combination of errors became clear, the value skyrocketed. Auction houses began to compete for the chance to feature it. Private collectors with deep pockets drove up bids, and the story captured mainstream media attention, highlighting how something so small and ordinary in appearance could be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or rare diamonds. And the more it circulated through coin publications and online communities, the more legendary it became, until finally its valuation reached the almost surreal figure of $44 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever discussed in history. So let us consider why this value makes sense, because in the world of collectibles, rarity plus condition plus demand equals astronomical prices. And here we have a perfect storm: a coin with undeniable and multiple mint errors, an experimental composition, pristine condition, and an unforgettable story that fuels collector passion. And when such a coin becomes a cultural icon, its price is no longer just about the metal or face value, but about history, uniqueness, and the prestige of ownership. And if you imagine being the lucky individual who found this coin, perhaps in pocket change, a bankroll, or inherited from a relative, suddenly holding $44 million in your hand disguised as a penny, you can understand the dreamlike allure this story carries. And beyond just this one coin, the tale reminds all of us that treasure still circulates unnoticed, that minting mistakes still slip past even in the modern era, and that vigilance, curiosity, and knowledge can turn ordinary finds into life-changing fortune. Because while most coins minted in 2013 AD are only worth 1 cent, a handful are worth thousands due to minor errors, and one unique specimen stands as the pinnacle of numismatic wonder worth $44 million, and the lesson here is that coins are far more than small discs of metal we exchange in transactions. They are tiny artifacts of history, technology, and human error, each telling a story. And occasionally those stories are so powerful that they shake the foundations of what we believe is possible in valuation, making the 2013 AD 1 cent coin not just a collectible but a cultural phenomenon. And as we dive deeper, we realize that every scratch, every die crack, every doubling effect, and every compositional anomaly contributes to a tapestry of rarity that pushes the value into realms that seem unbelievable yet are validated by the passionate world of coin collecting. And the possibilities remain open-ended because future discoveries might reveal even more about its origin, whether it was the result of a transitional planchette experiment, a rogue strike, or a one-off mint mishap. The mystery adds layers of intrigue that collectors crave, and in that sense the 2013 AD penny is not just a coin, it is a story, a legend, a reminder that perfection is not always the ultimate goal in minting, because imperfection can sometimes create the most priceless artifacts of all. And as long as collectors dream of owning something no one else can ever possess, coins like this will command staggering amounts. So if you ever find yourself sifting through pocket change, rolls from the bank, or collections passed down through family, remember the story of the 2013 AD 1 cent coin that turned heads, broke records, and reminded the world that big money can hide in the smallest places, a true testament to the value of paying attention to the overlooked and understanding the magic of numismatic history. And that is why this single penny, minted in Denver in 2013, stands today with an extraordinary valuation of $44 million. Forever etched in the annals of coin collecting and forever sparking curiosity about what else might still be out there waiting to be discovered.